Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the College Football Tailgate with me, XFL Jim, joined as always by Uncle Rico, my man Eric. What's up, man? You ready to talk some Pac-12 football?
You know what? I'm ready because I don't know how much longer the Conference of Champions is going to be around. Someone better check on my boy Bill Walton.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that the Pac-12 gets absorbed by the Big 12 than vice versa.
I agree. But I mean, and I hate to segue to a whole other thing. They've totally fumbled their Pac-12 network. You look at what the SEC did with their network, the Big Ten with theirs, the ACC with theirs. The Big 12 having the stuff on ESPN streaming stuff. And then the Pac-12, I mean,
they got
nothing. They totally fumbled it. So, look, at the end of the day, it's your own fault. You have the big mega market of LA, and now you don't have a conference, and they had to go to the Midwest, the Big Ten. So it's their own fault. They messed it up. So
they have three major TV markets of the Bay Area, Los Angeles, and Seattle. They have the entire Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, and they messed it up. And I mean, I get it. They're on the West Coast. They don't get the game. You know what I mean?
People don't care about football as much out there. Yeah.
But I mean, fine. Okay, that's fine. Do stuff, partner up with ESPN. You know what I mean? Look how many SEC games. SEC is all over the place on the ESPN. You're telling me they can't partner up, do a 3:30 kickoffs? You know what I mean? Do 6 p.m. Eastern.
Well, like how Fox was doing the big noon kickoffs. They would have their huge games at noon or whatever. And yeah, people are annoyed by that. But if a Pac-12 team does it, that's noon for the Pac-12 is 3:00 for the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, they completely just fumbled it. At the end of the day, they fumbled it, and they have no one to blame but themselves. That's it.
Exactly. So what are we doing on the college football tailgate? Let me tell you before we jump into it. So we're breaking down every single college football team's win total, season, team by team, conference by conference. And this week we are talking the Pac-12 while they still stand. So we're going to be breaking down every single team of the Pac-12. I'm going to give you out conference odds, win totals we potentially like, maybe some other Heisman odds for certain players. Anyway, you ready to get into this? And we're starting from the bottom. We're starting with Arizona.
Returning 40, 7 on the offense, 8 on defense. Jaden DeLora is back. You could kind of tell, though, by the game, it got better as the season progressed, but he came from the air raid system at Washington State. He's still not 100% comfortable underneath center. You can kind of tell that. RB room is deep. They have Rocky, Weiler, and Anderson all back. They're losing 4 wide receivers, and they're starting tight end. They did get some transfers, which can kind of act as some Band-Aids, but I really think the playmakers on the outside are lacking. Offensive linemen, they have 4 that have at least 7 starts. Second year of a new system, so it should be a little bit better. D-line, they got some transfers within the conference from UCLA, USC, and Utah, so they are going to be better up front than the normal. Linebacker room, they lost their best player in Patty. Defensive backs, all 6 are back. I think they're going to be improved from last year, but to make a bowl game would definitely be a stretch.
So their win total, as I'm seeing it, is set at 2.5, minus 170 on the over, plus 130 on the under for 2.5. Arizona, in my opinion, still probably the bottom of the Pac-12. Schedule, not the worst, not the best, somewhere in the middle of the road. I'm kind of right there with you. I think they are a little bit improved from last year, but it's nowhere near sniffing a bowl game. Let's get into the schedule. At San Diego State to start the season.
That's a loss.
That's a loss. Why do these Pac-12 teams schedule these Mountain West, the top of the Mountain West?
It just makes 0 sense. I mean, this schedule, I'm looking at these first 3 games.
At San Diego State, Mississippi State, and North Dakota State.
North Dakota
3 losses.
Is North Dakota State. They're easily 0-3. 1-2.
Maybe,
scenario.
Maybe they jump out and get one of these games. I actually see it being more likely against Mississippi State than either of the other 2.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
I just I'll probably take an Arizona plus the points in that game just because I don't ever trust SEC teams going west.
Yeah, that's
I don't trust SEC, Big Ten. I don't trust SEC, Big Ten, or ACC teams going west to the Pac-12. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that statement.
So after that stretch, they go to Cal.
Loss.
Colorado at home. That's winnable. It really depends on what you think of Colorado. I think Colorado might have a really fucky year.
Colorado was the hardest team for me to figure out.
They're tough. I'm going to say, I'm going to have to give Arizona a win somewhere, and I hate Colorado, so I'm going to give them a win here.
Okay.
Then they get Oregon.
Bo Nix, man, that's a loss.
You're a big Bo Nix guy, huh?
You know what? I like me.
You're a Bo lever?
I'm a Bo lever. I like me a little Bowie.
If we were talking pro football, I could tell you in my group because I'm a member of Tuanon.
Okay.
I'm a huge advocate for Tuanon. Then at Washington before the bye week. That's a loss.
That's a loss. Then look at this next 3-game stretch.
USC. You know what? I take back what I said. This is a hard fucking schedule. This is a really hard schedule. USC at Utah at UCLA.
0-3.
0-3. Washington State. Maybe.
That's winnable.
It's winnable, but I think Washington State improves from last year. Because last year, remember, they had all that turmoil with Rolo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not high in Washington State. I'll be honest, I'm not high in Arizona State either.
Speaking of which, they finished with Arizona State at home.
So I mean,
I don't think they win that game though. I think maybe they go 1-1 here at the last two.
You don't think Friday night in Tucson in front of 150 people they're going to win that game?
You think they win both those games though?
I think it's doable.
So it's doable that they get to 3 wins.
I think 3 wins is the ceiling.
Win total set at 2.5. Plus 130 on that under. You firing off there?
No, I'm doing nothing. I'm sending this bad boy out.
I'm firing off. I'm going to fire off on that under.
Jeez, dude. Look at you, man.
I'm going to do it. Plus 130. Give me that.
Dude, you know what Klay Thompson says? Shoot or shoot.
You know what I'm addicted to, though? Plus numbers. I'm addicted to the plus numbers. Up next, by the way, we have Arizona State. Win total set at 6.5, plus 120 on the over, minus 160 on that under.
They did lose quarterback Jaden Daniels, which is going to be a huge blow to the offense. Florida's Emory Jones is going to be the starter. Wyoming's leading rusher Vandal is transferring in to be RB1. Wide receivers, they're lacking talent experience. I'm sorry, they're returning 41. Only 3 starters on offense, 4 on defense. Offensive line, they lose 3 starters. They're adding transfers, but the starting unit will only have a combined 62 starts. It won't be as good. DL, they lost a lot. They added 2 transfers that should contribute, but not anywhere near what it was last year. Linebackers will be the strength of the team. I'm a little shocked. Their best player, Gentry, returned. I thought he would leave. DBs are a wreck. They add a couple dudes in the Porter. My note, and I kid you not, Jim, if I was in shape, I could start in this defensive backfield. They're returning 7 starters. They fired 5 coaches and are in an NCAA investigation. Making a bowl game this season would be Herm's coaching performance of his
It'd
life.
be a miracle.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we still don't know what's going on with the investigation. They could get a ruling that they're not allowed a postseason, and that deflates the whole thing.
Yeah. So if that happens, I feel the wheels are just going to completely fall off.
So I forgot to say the conference odds. Can you guess what Arizona's conference odds are for the Pac-12?
150-1.
400-1.
Jesus.
Arizona State sitting at a 20-1. That's Arizona far and away the longest odds to win. I think any conference. No, sorry, Rutgers for the bit. No, preview later on. What do you think Vanderbilt's odds to win the SEC are?
700.
900-1.
That's embarrassing, dude. Like,
You you ready to jump into this Arizona State schedule?
oh my God. Let's do it.
Northern Arizona at home.
Call me crazy. I think they win that game.
I think they win too, but Northern Arizona is not they're a weird team, but I think Arizona State comfortably wins. At Oklahoma State though.
No.
That's a loss. Eastern Michigan at home.
50-50 game, but I'm going to give it to Arizona State.
I'm going to be betting like this week, the week of, I will be betting the hell out of our Eastern Michigan Eagles.
You know what, dude? Look who's on deck. Utah. I'll be betting Eastern Michigan too.
I'll be betting the fuck, but I'm going to give them a win here.
Yeah.
For the win total purposes, so we have them at 2 wins. They're losing to Utah.
And they're losing to USC.
Don't, dude. Arizona State does weird shit versus USC, though.
But
this is Arizona State. This is a weird Arizona State. Out of Utah, USC, and Washington, they're winning one of those.
They'll probably beat Washington. My thing is are you a Jones guy? Are you an Emory Jones guy?
Not really. I'm basing this off of nothing besides the fact that Arizona State is one of those weird schools that like they always knock off a team that they're not supposed to. So even if the wheels are falling off, they will beat one of Utah, USC, Washington, UCLA.
Okay.
It's always another Pac-12 team. So I'm going to say out of those 4, they're going to win 1.
Okay.
So they go to those 3, they get the bye week, then they go to Stanford. I think that's a loss.
That is an L.
At Colorado after that, I think is a loss.
I think that's a loss.
Back-to-back really hurts them there. I already said one of UCLA, Utah, USC is a win. So right now, going into the Washington State game, I have them at 3 wins.
Yeah.
Then they go to Washington State.
L.
Oregon State at home. L.
Yep.
And then at Arizona, I give them a win there.
All right, so you got them at 4. I got them at 3.
I got them at 4. Minus 160 on that under, though. 6.5 is the total.
Jesus.
6.5 is the total. I feel like I'm safe taking that under, but minus 160 steers me away.
I mean, if I could find an alternate in some book of 5, I'd look to take that.
I mean, shop around. Definitely shop around. If you can take a 5 and under 5, you're probably getting like, if not even money, like maybe plus 110.
Yeah, I'd look at that, but at that
6.5, like maybe I'll probably bet it, but I can't in good consciousness recommend betting a minus 160.
Yeah, that's definitely a pass.
Like I'll probably be betting it just because I feel confident, and I don't know. Why am I addicted to like betting win totals?
I don't know, man. It's like
I love it. It's like you get while you're betting the games week in and week out, you're just seeing this little thing in the background, like it's like a progress bar just filling up. I used to play like MMOs back in the day when I was a fucking nerd. I'm still a nerd, but it's something about seeing like a progress bar just slowly fill up, and betting win totals lets me do that with sports betting.
Okay. Respect.
Up next, we have the Colorado Buffaloes, the Bison. They're the Buffaloes. I don't give a fuck. Win total set at 3. Just even 3, minus 115 either way. Conference odds for Colorado. Take a guess, my friend.
25.
They're the next worst after Arizona.
25 to 1?
No, next worst after Arizona.
15. 100.
200 to 1.
Jesus.
200 to 1 for Colorado. So, yeah, it goes USC, Utah, Oregon, UCLA, Washington, Arizona State, Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, Stanford, Colorado, Arizona.
Jesus. Well, they're returning 51.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
7 on offense, 8 on defense starters. Brandon Lewis is back. He should take a step forward. Broussard, their running back, he's transferring to Michigan State. That's a big blow. Alex Fanault will be the starter, but not having that 1-2 punch will hurt. Wide receivers, they took a blow. They're losing 3. Offensive line lost 4 backups, so the unit isn't that deep. Defensive line strength of the defense only allowed 179 rushing yards per game. Wasn't really able to generate any pressure though. Only 12 sacks. They losing Well and Landman is a huge blow to the linebackers. DB room is a mess, and 2 of the starters and two of the starters that were lost were unexpected transfers. So, I mean, they really weren't planning for that. So, they have no one really to fill in. My note is schedule is brutal, but not as bad as their back four.
Yeah, their defense, and especially their defensive backfield, is god awful. And I'm looking over this schedule. That sucks. It hurts.
Dude, I mean,
why do so many Pac-12 teams just opt for having super hard schedules? Like, yes, it's very fun, and I respect them for like scheduling hard. But man, it just sets up your conference to have a bunch of like 6-6 and 7-5 teams, and it's rough. Like fuck, rag on the SEC and the ACC all you want, and the Big Ten does it too. But
they set up their schedules.
They set up their teams for success, and you have to do this in a playoff world.
But I mean, like, everyone knows these schedules get set 4 or 5 years in advance.
And everyone knows that, like, the bottom rung teams always get fucked anyway. Like, USC consistently has the easiest schedule out of all Pac-12 teams.
Yeah. You know, that's just the way it is. You know,
that's
but they're
life
trying
of
to,
college
like,
football.
generate eyes on the conference too when these were made. So, I mean, I
True.
get it, but it's one of the holes that the Pac-12 has that was never addressed, and that's why they're in the position they are in right now.
It's probably my favorite hole because it does make for some really entertaining games. Let's see if Colorado makes it to 3. Starting off, they get TCU at home.
You know what? That's a loss, dude. Like,
that's a lot. That's winnable.
TCU is going through some stuff, and it's winnable, but
I think it's a loss, though.
My buddy Brad makes a good point. Just because you have a lot returning, if they were bad last year, they're probably going to be bad the next year. You know,
that's what I'm thinking too. I don't know what's going on with the fucking Buffaloes. At Air Force after that.
That's a loss.
That's a loss right there. And then at Buffalo, at Minnesota after that. That's a loss. Back to back. And I think Minnesota's going to be pretty good this year.
They're 0-3 going into conference.
UCLA
play.
At home after that.
It's a loss. 0-4.
At Arizona.
That's winnable. That's 50-50.
It's 50-50. I gave it to Arizona, though, so I'm counting this as a loss.
So you got them at 0-5 going into the bye.
I got them at 0-5 going into the bye week. Then they get Cal at home after the break. Winnable.
But Cal's coming off a bye, too. It's not like Cal the game before.
It is winnable, but I actually trust Cal to get it done.
Okay.
So I have another L. At Oregon State.
Loss.
Arizona State at home.
That's a win.
It's a win. Oregon at home.
Look at this last 4.
Oregon at home, at USC, at Washington, Utah. They're winning one game this year.
Yeah.
2 tops. Minus 115, I'll take that under. Fuck the Buffs.
You should make a shirt. I'll take that under. Fuck the Buffs.
Yeah, hashtag unbiased. I really hate Colorado. I hate Colorado so fucking much.
Oh, dude, it's brutal. It is brutal.
Great town. Boulder's a great town. Fuck the Buffs. Okay, up next, we have UCLA. Win total set at 8.5. Minus 115 both ways. Conference odds for UCLA. Plus 850.
Returning 37, 6-2. Your boy Thomas Robinson is back for his senior year, lined up to have a huge season. Zach Colbanet is one of the best running backs in the country, but behind him, there's really no depth. If he gets hurt, that's going to be a blow. Chip is saying they have a deep tight end room and wide receiver room. They added Jake Bobo from Duke, which is a huge pickup. Offensive line, they did lose their coach and 3 starters. That's a little bit of a worry point, especially with them wanting to run the ball. They aren't returning a lot on the DL, but they did add some key transfers. Linebackers, they lost their top 3, but they did add Hawaii and Wyoming's best linebackers from last year. That's going to cover it, but those guys played at the, you know what I mean? They played at the mid-major level for a reason. DBs, they lost a ton. There'll be issues. My worry point with them is their defense. If their offense has that game where Thomas Robinson isn't kicking or their running back goes out hurt, there could be some issues because I just don't trust their defense to get enough stops.
Yeah, they're going to have to win in shootouts, in my opinion. They're going to have to be like a classic Chip Kelly sort of team where you're seeing crazy scores if they want to be super competitive. Their schedule isn't terrible. And by that, I mean, like, the out of conference is nothing.
Yeah.
So let's see if these guys can get to 8.5. Bowling Green to start the season.
That's a win. But
That's
see,
a
like,
win. Alabama State after that.
like, this is a point. We're talking about these teams. You look at their non-conference. Bowling Green, Alabama State, South Alabama. That's how UCLA is starting the season.
Meanwhile, you have Colorado going TCU at Air Force at Minnesota.
It's just brutal.
So one starting 0-3 and UCLA starting 3-0. And then they go to Colorado. That's a win.
It's a win.
Washington at home.
It's a win.
I think that's a win. Utah at home, though.
That's a loss.
I think that's a loss. I think Utah's the better team. Bye week at Oregon. Win.
But Oregon's coming off a bye too.
I still think win. I'm not very high on Oregon this year. Spoiler.
All right.
Stanford at home.
It's a win.
That's a win. At Arizona State is a win.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona at home is a win.
Yeah.
USC.
It's a loss.
They beat them last year. I think USC gets revenge this year. That's a loss. At Cal. They might trip up in that one.
That could be a trip up.
So I think they lose one of USC and Cal. I don't think they lose both.
Okay.
Like if they beat USC, they're losing to Cal. I have them at 10-2.
Jeez. It's just their defense is just so bad.
9-3. What do you think it's more likely they go 9-3 or I guess the 8.5 kills it. 9-3 or 8-4?
I think it's more realistic 8-4.
I'm really high on. You know what? My advice to people, I'm not going to take this win total. I'm going to take, if they have a crazy good season, it's going to be on the back of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And I think I like his Heisman odds. 100-1.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Why don't I play a little bit of that?
Mm-hmm.
Little DTR Heisman?
You know, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, you have a scenario. I had it with a kid from Houston where I played out a scenario where he could be invited and his 150 ticket would be down to 20-1. You just played out a scenario where this 100-1 ticket could be down to 21. He could get invited to New York, and that's what we want. We want
exactly
to be in a position. So, I mean, if you're high on them, and like you said it, their defense, they're going to have to win a lot of shootouts. That means more production from Thomas Robinson. You know, Chip Kelly offense produces numbers. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. It makes sense.
I talked about the same thing with Sam Hartman for Wake Forest is you see like these teams' conference odds or division odds, and they're not that juicy. Like UCLA's plus 850 to win the Pac-12. I don't hate that. I'd rather see it at like 10-1 if I want to bet it.
Yeah.
I'd rather see it at like plus 1,000. But if they're going to win the conference, they're going to do it on the back of DTR, and he's going to get a Heisman invite.
Yeah.
At 100-1, I'll take those odds.
Yeah, I get it. It makes perfect sense.
Just makes sense to me, damn it. Up next, we have USC. Win total set at 9.5. Plus 105 on the over, minus 135 on the under. Conference odds, they're the favorite to win the Pac-12. Plus 220.
Returning 50, 8 on offense, 3 on defense. Obviously, Lincoln Riley's there. They got Caleb Williams, which is huge for the quarterback position. He will be one of the players that could easily win the Heisman, but obviously at those odds, you really can't play him. Yeah, Travis Guy is transferring in to be the starting core RB1 from Oregon State. Losing London's a big blow for the wide receiver room, but just looking at it, he missed so many games. He missed 33% of the games last season. So is it really that big of a blow? Because they're used
that, and there's always a USC wide receiver that like pops off every year.
Oh, for sure. O-line, they lost 2 starters, but they added Hasking from Virginia. Defensive line is good. Added 3 transfers from Power 5s. They're deep with experience. Linebackers, they lost a ton, but they got transfers. Defensive backfield, they lost all 4 but are getting multiple transfers from Power 5 schools. Riley got a lot of transfers, has talent all over the place. But again, I'm just a little concerned with the defense.
I mean, it's a Lincoln Riley team. You should be concerned with the defense.
Yeah, just kind of like,
You saw it in the Big 12. It was always available for an inexplicable loss to like Iowa State when Iowa State was like lucky to be a 6-win team.
I just can't and you hit the nail on the head. Like, you just can't trust any of Lincoln Riley's teams with their shitty defense. Excuse my language. So
no, you can fucking curse all you want. Don't matter. 9.5 seems like a really tall order. Like, people are crowning this team. Like, I've seen people say they might make the playoffs.
They've kind of been anointed.
I think people are just really hungry for USC to be back.
Yeah.
They're like Texas in that regard. Where, I would agree, when USC's really banging and firing off, I do think college football is super entertaining.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're there yet. The schedule's not terrible, though, especially early off. So they get Rice to start off the season.
That's a win.
That's a win. At Stanford after that, though.
Stanford is kind of sneaky, I feel, a little bit. So
I feel like if they got him in more of a trap spot, I'd probably go with Stanford. Like, if they got Stanford before, the UCLA game.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a win here, but I'm probably going to bet Stanford the week of.
Yeah, I got you.
Fresno State at home after that.
That's tough, dude. That's tough. Fresno State, we talked about them. They're good.
Here we go. So let's go through these three real quick. At Stanford, Fresno State, at Oregon State, they're losing one of those for sure.
100%.
One of those is a loss. And then 100%. They get Arizona State at home. I think that's a win.
A win.
Washington State at home, I think is
a win.
At Utah, that's a loss.
That's a big L. So we got them at 2 losses so far.
Yep, 2 losses so far. At Arizona, out of the bye week, that's a win.
Yep.
Cal at home, I think that's a win.
Yep. You like
Colorado at home, that's a win.
Yep.
At UCLA, we gave that to them. That's a win. Notre Dame at home.
I don't know. I think they can win. I think they should win that game.
That's a coin toss. Like, UCLA and Notre Dame are both coin tosses. I think they maybe
go 1-1.
They go 1-1. We got them at 9-3.
Yep. No, nothing there. I really do think we're going to have a good opportunity. If UCLA is getting points, I feel that we got to take them in that scenario. I kind of like that.
Minus 135 on under 9.5, though. I just don't.
That's too. I'm not going to bet that.
If it was closer to even, like if you could find under 9 minus 110,
I would definitely lean that.
I'd bet that. I'd bet that for sure, because I think there's also the factor of these teams are probably leaving in a year or two, and they're going to want to kick these teams are going to want to kick their dicks in on the way out.
Yes, that I concur.
And they're not going to be getting any breaks from the Pac-12. You think the refs are going to fucking give them any slack?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
So I lean under. If you can find under 9 somewhere, maybe dabble with that. Otherwise, I'm not touching USC.
Yeah.
Up next, the fucking Utes. Utah football, baby. They won it last year. Got it off of their back. Over under set at 9.
I had their future last year.
I did too.
I loved it.
Over under set at 9, minus 130 on that over. Even money on the under. Conference odds plus 250.
Returning 60, 8-6. Texas transfer Cameron Rising is back at quarterback. He's one of the best in the conference. Travian Thomas is going to be the lead back. I'm a little bit concerned because at the start of the season last year, he did have some fumbling issues. After the benching, when he came back and got some run, they were limited. Wide receiver, they're returning 5 of their top 6, but they lost their best one. So having that top tier playmaker on the outside is a little worry point. Last year, the offensive line was a strength of the team. They did lose Nick Ford, first team all center. And I'm the second team left tackle, whose name I'm not even going to pronounce. Defensive line, they lost 3. One of them first team player, but they're returning Junior Tafano, who is the Pac-12 freshman of the year. I mean, there's certain things in life you can just count on, and one of them is the Utes having a good defensive line. You know what I mean? It's just
Just set your watch to it.
They lost Levy, which is a huge blow to the linebacker room, but they did add 2 transfers, and the Covalt brothers are back, which is key. They lost half of their starting back 4. Utah is talented, but the schedule will keep them out of any chance of making the playoffs.
I was going to say, so their national championship odds are 60-1.
You know what? Well, here's the thing. Okay, let's just play devil's advocate right here, just looking at the schedule. Now granted, Florida implementing a new system and everything.
I was going to say that first game really sets up a lot.
You know, if they win that game, they're in the conversation. And then if they beat USC, if they get through that little UCLA-USC stretch, then they have a chance. I would like this schedule a lot more if this UCLA-USC games were a little bit more spread out.
I agree with that there. Let's get into this schedule. So they start off their season at Florida.
I'll give them a win just because we really don't. There's a lot of questions around Florida with Napier coming in, changing schemes and everything. Florida will probably be better as the year progresses.
I might agree with that, but normally I would say loss here because I always fade teams traveling across country.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I'm not sold on this Florida team. So I'm going to give them a win here. Southern Utah after that. That's a win.
That's a win.
San Diego State after that.
You know what? That's at home. That's a win.
Yeah, that's at home. It's a win. But, man, watch the fuck out. Utah loves dropping games to these Mountain West teams.
Yep.
At Arizona State after that. That's a win.
That's a win.
Oregon State coming to Utah. That's a win.
Yep.
At UCLA and then USC, they go 1-1. I think they lose to UCLA.
Okay. I'll give it to you.
We gave them the win in the UCLA one, but I think they lose to UCLA and they beat USC.
I concur.
Bye week at Washington State after that.
Washington State is also coming off a bye, but Washington State has some holes. I'll give them a win.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a win there too. Arizona after that. That's a win.
That's a win.
Stanford after that.
That's a win.
That's a win. And then at Oregon and at Colorado. That's 2 more wins.
Yep.
I think they lose maybe 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games tops.
Can I also just say it's kind of bullshit that they're not playing BYU this year?
Yeah, why aren't they doing that?
I don't know why that is. That feels bullshit to me.
It is kind of BS. I mean, like at 60-1. I mean, what can you see what that Florida spread is for week 1?
I can look it up real quick. Come on.
I'm trying to pull the
futures game lines. Utah. -2.5. Utah -2.5. Road favorite.
Okay, that's tough.
I have to play it.
I don't play road favorites.
I know, but I play every if that gets up to 3.5, I might take Florida.
But I guess the books are favoring them. That kind of gives a little tilting hand. I would put a quarter of a unit on the 60-1.
Yeah, because they're one of those teams that I feel like they're definitely not as deep as like an Ohio State or an Alabama, but you saw when they played Ohio State in the Rose Bowl that they, for a good chunk of that game, could keep up with them.
Yeah. They got some big boys. They got a talented quarterback. They got a good running back. They got good in the trenches.
I see some value at 60-1.
60. I'd play. That's my first future in the Conference of Champions.
Yeah, plus 250 for them to
No, too small.
Win the conference. I don't like that.
Too small.
Yeah, that's definitely too tiny. Let's get up to the North Division. We have my Cal Bears, baby. I don't know why, but I've loved this Berkeley team for a hot minute. Win total set at 5.5, minus 105 on the over, minus 125 on the under. Conference odds for Cal, 50-1.
I mean, is that just an automatic bet for you?
No, because like even if they have a really good season, I just can't trust their offense. Like I expect them to make a bowl game, so I'm going to be on this over. I'm just going to flat out say I'm going to be on the over. But like Cal's a weird team.
Returning 44, 3-5. Jake Plummer is transferring in from Purdue and will be the starting quarterback. Jaden out, a freshman, is going to be RB1. Really not that. That just kind of speaks to the lack of talent in the running back room. That freshman is coming in. Wide receiver room's lacking talent and experience. Offensive line, they're only returning 2 starters. They did add some transfers. Defensive line, they are returning 7 of their top 9, but they lost their top 2. Linebacker room, they lost Goody, which is huge because he was able to create pressure and make the quarterback rush through his progressions. DBs, they are losing 3. They're not returning a lot, second fewest in the conference. Basically, I feel that their first 2 games is going to kind of determine how the season goes.
Let's get into the schedule then. So their first 2 games are UC Davis and UNLV, both at home.
So UNLV, believe it or not, is coming off of a bye.
That's insane that UNLV has a week 1 bye.
So, UC Davis, always tough.
I feel like Cal is just a better version of UC Davis, though. They're like the good FBS version of what UCS, because UC Davis always has like a pretty stout defense and like a good run game. Cal maybe doesn't have a good run game, but I feel like their defense is way better.
So you want to give them a win here?
I'm going to give them a win for both of these ones.
Look at Jimmy. Look at Jimmy.
Well, so like they lost to Nevada last year.
Yeah.
But I think Nevada is a way better team than UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go to Notre Dame.
It's a loss.
That's a loss. I'm going to be betting the under in that game. Arizona at home after that.
Homecoming game. Give it to them.
At Washington State after that.
I'm going to give them an LL.
Yeah, if this was at Berkeley, I'd probably give them a win, but I'm going to give them an L. So I have them at 3 wins. And then out of the bye week, they go to Colorado. I think that's a win.
Oh.
I'm giving them a win.
Whoa.
Washington at home.
You know what? Let's just look at Washington, Oregon, USC. I think they win 1.
Washington, Oregon at USC. Yeah, I'll give them one of those 3. It's being nice. And then at Oregon State, Stanford, and UCLA.
I mean, geez, dude. I mean, look, after that bye, they could only win 1 game, man.
I think after that bye, they win at most 3. At most. Like I could see him going against Colorado. I could see him getting. They're gonna get revenge against Stanford one of these fucking years.
They're just due.
They're due. And like I don't know what it is, but they always play Washington close.
Yeah. Yep.
So let me brainstorm it how I'm gonna get this team to 6 because I'm betting the over. I don't know if I can, good consciousness, recommend it, but I am betting the over. So they beat UC Davis, beat UNLV, beat Arizona. They can beat Washington State.
Okay.
So that's 4 going into the bye. They can beat Colorado. That's 5. Washington's a toss-up. They're going to win 1 at least of Washington, Oregon, USC, Oregon State, Stanford, UCLA. They're getting to 7 wins. Boom. Cal, 7 wins. Book it. Over 5.5.
Okay, let's do it.
Book that fucking action. Up next. We're going in alphabetical order, and the letters jump up so high because the next team is Oregon. Win total set. Let me see if I can find it. Oregon. 8.5. Minus 150 on that over. Plus 115 on that under. Conference odds for Oregon are plus 275.
New coach returning 51, 8-0, 7 Bo Nix transferred in, going to be QB1. They did lose their top 2 running backs from last season. They really don't have any experience in the wide receiver room. Offensive line going to be the strength of the offense. This easily, as crazy as it sounds, could be a top 5 unit in the nation. Defensive line, 4 of the top 6 are back, plus they added transfers that will contribute. In the trenches, this team is very solid. Sewell is back, and that's all you need to know about the linebackers. He's going to be all over the field. DBs, this is their biggest blow and going to be the weakness of the group. Conference schedule is nice, getting Utah at home and avoiding USC. They could be able to make the Pac-12 championship game if Knicks can regain form.
So I think that's probably why they're so high to win the Pac-12 at plus 275, because they're the favorite in the North by far.
And football's one in the trenches, and they arguably, if you just look at the offense and defensive line, them and Utah have the best two.
Do you trust Bo Nix?
How can you not trust Bo Nix?
I watched him at Auburn.
Yeah, that's true.
So they start off, it says, so they're playing Georgia at a neutral site, but it's really a home game for the Bulldogs. That's a loss.
That's a loss.
Eastern Washington comes to town after that.
That's a win.
Would be hilarious if Eastern Washington gets.
It would be pretty funny.
That's a win though. BYU at home after that though.
That's a loss. That's 50.
That's a loss. I think. I think. Yeah. At Washington State after that.
That should be a win.
That should be a win. It's not guaranteed. Stanford up next at home.
It's a win.
That's a win, but Stanford's always weird with Oregon.
Yeah.
At Arizona after that. That's a win.
That's a win.
So we got them at 4 wins right now.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off the bye week, they get UCLA at home.
50.
I have that as a loss.
Okay.
At Cal.
They should. I mean, if this is the Oregon that has the potential to be, they should win both of these games.
With at Cal, at Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should win both those. Washington at home after that. They're going to get up for that one. I'm going to say it's a win. Then they get Utah.
That's an L.
That's a loss. At Oregon State to end the season. It's tough. After just getting beat by Utah.
But, rivalry game. They did lose the game last year. I'll give them the win.
I'm going to give them a win here. So we have them at 1, 2, 3 losses.
Yeah.
9-3. Win total at 8.5.
No, there's no point. It's too close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not touching that. I'm sorry.
You just can't do it.
I like some of these win totals. I do not like this one. That's it's scary.
It is a little scary.
Let's move on to Oregon State, whose win total, by the way, 6.5. Even money on the over, minus 130 on the under. Conference odds for Oregon State sit around plus 2,500, 25 to 1.
Returning 52, 6 on offense, 9 on defense. Chance Nolan is back, QB1. They lost Baylor, who's going to be huge because they don't have that lead runner. They lost their top 3 wide receivers, their best blocking tight end. O-line is good, but they did lose 2 starters. Defensive line, they lost 2 starters, but Isaac Hopkins is back after missing last year because of an injury. Linebacker room is in good shape. They added a Florida transfer. DBs, they did get all 4 back. Look, I'm worried. I'm legitimately concerned about the offense and their lack of playmakers, the lack of talent in the running back room, the lack of talent on the outside. Defensively, this is legit. It's like they're the polar opposite of UCLA.
It's also the polar opposite of what they've been for the last couple of years. Like they've been a pretty offense-first team.
Yeah, I mean, defense is legit. I'm really concerned about their offense here. I don't know, but I mean, like,
I trust a coach like John Smith to get an offense kind of working though.
But how long is it going to take to start? Because, I mean, you look at it.
Oh, their opening schedule is fucking brutal.
It's because they got Boise. You know what I mean? The only gimme there is Montana State.
Oh, we'll jump right into it. So they get Boise at home, at Fresno, Montana State, and then USC and at Utah.
I mean, like one game there. Two's the ceiling.
Two's the ceiling. I'm going to give them one. Two's the ceiling there. At Stanford. After at Utah, I'm going to give that win to Stanford, actually.
Okay.
Back-to-back road game. Still only have them at one win. Washington State comes to town.
That's a win.
That's a win. Colorado comes to town.
That's a win.
It's a win. We're at 3. At Washington out of the bye.
And Washington also coming out of a bye. I'm going to do
say that's an L. Cal at home.
Win.
I think that's a win. At Arizona State.
Win.
Win. Oregon at home.
50-50.
They make 6, I think, but I think bowling is kind of their ceiling this year.
Yeah. But I mean, like, who knows? Like I said, their defense is legit. If they can have any semblance of an offense, this could be a sneaky team we look to back in some situational spots. But I just don't think with how the Pac-12, how some of these teams are loaded offensively, like they can compete, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you mean. Their out of conference really hurts them here. Like Boise State and Fresno State are the worst Mountain West teams you could really grab.
Yeah, that's true.
I
said, like the beginning of their schedule sucks. It's brutal. They did them no favors.
Yeah, but when you have a brutal beginning, it just dominoes it to like go off the rails.
Oh, I agree 100%.
I'm gonna 6.5 is too much. I think they get to 6, and I think that's probably what they do. You know what? I'm gonna bet the under.
Okay.
Fuck it. If they prove me wrong, I'm gonna have a blast betting this team. Because I think they're good in spots, just like you said. I think they're a great situational team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're a team that like you'll be able to see how their season is going to go and if they're going to be fighting in games or if they're just going to roll over and die like a friggin' dead beaver.
It's a good analogy, my friend.
Up next, we have the Stanford Cardinal. Win total set at 4.5. Man, just if you would have said that like 10 years ago, that Stanford's win total is 4.5, you'd be fucking laughed at. Plus 115 on the over, minus 150 on the under. Conference odds for Stanford set at 90-1.
So here's the thing, like those of you that have been watching this, we talked about this with the Coastal Carolina coach. There's these coaches where it's like you have this peak time where you can leave to go to quote unquote greener pastures. And I mean, you look at Shaw. I mean, Shaw was getting like love from NFL teams.
He was being named like top 5 coach of college football.
You know what I mean? Now he's just an afterthought. And, it just really shows like maybe he's content there. We don't know his living situation or like his family situation.
He's a college football coach. He's making good money.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like maybe this for him and his family and his home situation, he's happy with this. But like someone like me, I want to see like, hey, if I have a chance to coach in the NFL, I want to go coach in the NFL. To me, you at least got to take a chance, and that goes back to the point we're talking about the Coastal Carolina coach. Offensively, they're returning 62 starters, 10 offensive starters, 7 defensive starters. Tanner McKee is back and will be the starter. But dude, am I really crazy to think that I think Patu, the backup, is a better quarterback?
I think he could be, and honestly, I haven't been really down with Stanford quarterbacks since Luck.
Hey, Davis Mills, watch your tone. Watch your tone.
Mills is good. I actually also liked KJ Costello.
Watch your tone. Watch your tone. Emmett Smith's sons, EJ Smith is a starter. Shaw feels that Smith is in line for a breakout season. Wide receivers, they're bringing returning everyone, but they did lose their top tight end. Offensive line underachieved last season. They're returning everyone, so you know what I mean? They should be better. Defensive line weakless last season. I don't see that changing going into this year. They lost Gabe Reed and Jordan Fox, which is going to be a huge blow. defensive backfield will be the strength of the defense, will be improved, but schedule doesn't do them any favors. Making a bowl game is feasible.
So this is the first year, I believe, in school history that Stanford isn't doing an all P5 schedule.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first, maybe not all P5, but this is the first time for sure that they're scheduling an FCS. They were one of the few holdouts of schools that have never scheduled an FCS team.
But they should. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand, like, what early in the year, why.
I think USC's the other one. I think USC's a big holdout too. I don't think USC has ever scheduled an FCS team.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Look at you, just coach, like stump the Schwab with Uncle Jim.
So, man, my whole betting Stanford, my whole Stanford, like the way I rate Stanford. What do we think? Like, what do you think of their quarterback?
You know, I think that they need, if Patu was in, I'd be higher on him.
Rate him out of 10.
Like the situation?
No, like skill wise, what you think they're at. And for Stanford, Andrew Luck is a 10.
Like a 6.
Okay, how's the running back on a scale of 1 to Christian McCaffrey?
See, that's the thing. Like, it's Emmitt Smith's son. Shaw's saying he's in line for a breakout season. I could see a 7, 8 tops.
I think Stanford, if those are the scenarios that you're presenting me with, I feel like Stanford always has a pretty decent offensive line.
Yeah.
At the very worst. This could be the breakout season that they need to kind of get back on track.
Okay. And I think making a bowl game would be huge for them.
I think it would be huge for where they've been the last 4 years. So they start off with Colgate.
I'm going to give them a win.
Win. USC at home.
Loss.
Winnable.
Okay.
I'm going to give them a loss. At Washington, off of the bye week.
A
Loss. At Oregon, also winnable, just because it's Stanford and Oregon. But I'm going to give them a loss. Oregon State at home.
50-50. I'll give them a win.
I'll give them a win there. At Notre Dame.
It's a loss.
I'm going to say loss, but that's also winnable. Arizona State at home. I'm going to give them a win.
Yeah.
So we got them at 3 wins right now at UCLA. Give them a loss.
Okay.
Washington State.
That's a win, I think.
I think that's a win. At Utah is a loss.
I think they can beat Cal, though.
Yeah, I think they can beat Cal, but the fact that it's back-to-back away games.
All right, so right now, how many games do you have them at?
I have them at, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have them at 4 wins. Going against Cal, at Cal, and BYU.
I know, but if they're at 4, 6 to get a win, 6 to get into a bowl, they're going to beat Cal.
I think so, and they have the track record. Like, when Cal's been good and Stanford's been bad, they've still won the game. The fact that it's back-to-back, I do think this is Cal's year. I'm going to give Stanford the win, but they're not beating BYU.
That's true. But, I mean, like, it's the whole mindset. You know what I mean? If Shaw is a respectable coach, is a good coach, you got to be able to get these kids up. You know what I mean?
4.5, you taking that over?
Was it juice to?
Plus 115.
You know what, dude? That's tempting. Maybe I'll take that. I'll look into that. You know what? I'll do it. See, I usually don't bet.
So let's blow Stanford real quick and see. So Colgate win. Yeah. USC. I'm going to give them a win versus USC. It's early on in the season. Lincoln Riley's in town, and Stanford, you know what? They fuck around and find out. 2 wins. At Washington, that's a loss. At Oregon, I'm going to give them that one. Oregon State, give them that one. At Notre Dame, that's a loss. Arizona State, win. At UCLA, loss. Washington State, win. At Utah, loss. At Cal, win. BYU, loss.
They're ceiling 7.
Their absolute ceiling, playing out of their mind, is 7.
And their over-under is what?
4.5. That's their absolute ceiling, is 7. There's not a chance they get better than that.
You know what? If I had to bet, I'd bet the over.
I will bet the over. Fuck it.
Dude, look at you, man. Shoot or shoot, dude. That's
I
why.
love these win totals, dude. I just fucking love these win totals. Up next, it's Washington. Win total set at 7.5. Minus 145 on the over, plus 110 on the under. Conference odds for Washington, plus 1,400. I don't hate that. I think last year and the last couple years have been an anomaly for Washington. I think generally they're a good team. And what the Huskies have shown is after periods of being really bad, they'll bounce right back up. One of only 2 teams from this conference to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, they have the ability.
Yeah.
7.5 seems low. Also, not a terrible schedule.
How do you feel about Indiana's Michael Penix?
Yeah, I don't like that move. I don't think he's that good.
Because he's coming in he's going to be the starting quarterback. Cameron Davis, he's going to be promoted from the back up to the workhorse back. Wide receiver, they're 7 starters, all with experience, but it's a new offense. 43 starters, 8 on offense, 5 on defense. Offensive line has size and talent. Plus, Kirkland came back. I didn't think he was going to come back. Much improved from last year. Defensive line will be better and tougher to run on than compared to last year. Linebackers, deep in experience. Defensive backs, they lost 2 to the league, which is absolutely huge. Schedule is doable because they avoid USC and Utah.
Yeah, that's huge.
And
that is massive.
So.
And they don't have to travel for any of their out-of-conference games.
Yeah, that's true.
Like last year, they went to Michigan.
Yeah.
So let's get into the schedule. Kent State at home.
Tricky offense, but we talked about it during our MAC preview. We really don't know what to expect from Kent State because of the quarterback situation. I'll give Washington a win here.
I'm going to give them a win as well. Portland State after that.
I'll give them a win.
Michigan State after that.
I'm a Michigan State homer. And
I know you are.
But here's the thing. I'm not a Mel Tucker homer. I think Michigan State loses.
I think Michigan State loses too. So are you on the train that like last year was kind of a fluke?
Last year was an absolute fluke. I mean, okay. Mel Tucker is
he's a smoke and mirrors guy.
Yeah, it's a complete you look at it, they got so lucky and so against your Cornhuskers. They should have lost that game. Yeah. They got so lucky in so many games. They're gonna come crashing down this year. It's gonna be brutal to watch as a Michigan State fan.
You guys think you can go after someone like Narduzzi? Would you want someone like Narduzzi?
They offered the job last year.
True.
They offered the job last year. And Michigan State, they're in a weird thing. Mike D'Antoni was their coach. Yeah. They brought in this guy who ran this pipeline through Detroit, from Ohio. One of the guys he brought in, there was some he sexually assaulted somebody.
Yeah.
And D'Antoni set the coach up to be the fall guy. And that right there totally ruined the pipeline of players coming in from Ohio, coming into from Detroit to Michigan State. And then after he had that run, he just never was able to recover because they weren't getting the talent. And when you have KJ Hamler, who's from the Detroit area, saying, I'm not going to go to Michigan State on national TV because of what's going on there, that's a
bad
huge
look.
That's an insanely bad look. D'Antoni got his bonus, then left because he probably would have got fired because all this was coming out. I think they totally panicked. Finkel turned it down. Narduzzi turned it down. They hired Mel Tucker, and then he had the season. And they gave us this insane bonus. You know what I mean?
Every school has been doing this shit.
It's just absolutely insane. I think Michigan State, I'm going to bet they're under. I'm going to be fading them all year. They have legitimate questions. I think Kenneth Walker was able to kind of bail them out a lot of times last year from situations. Even the Michigan game, Michigan gave that away. It's just, they're just going to be bad. I remember that Ohio State game. They got utterly embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have a lot of those games this year, and it wouldn't surprise me if this Washington game turned out to be a 28-10, 35.
Ooh.
At
Ooh.
35-14. I'm really worried about my Sparties. And
I'm
like
sorry.
by week 4, I'm going to be asking when basketball season starts.
That's always tough. I can't ask that question as a Nebraska fan because it's just more pain. So we have
You
Washington
guys
at 3
are good
wins
at
right
women's
now.
volleyball. You guys are legit.
We do have women's volleyball and women's bowling.
I mean, I dated this one girl and she was all about collegiate women's volleyball. I mean, she played college volleyball herself.
We kick ass.
And I mean, she would always watch Nebraska volleyball.
It's women's volleyball and women's bowling. We're like the Alabama of women's bowling.
Is that something you can brag about?
I will brag about it because our ladies kick fucking ass.
All right, I respect that.
Damn it. So after Michigan State, they get Washington starts off with 4 home games in a row.
Yeah, not having to travel, that's just huge for them.
That is gigantic. 4 wins, and then they go to UCLA.
Unfortunately, that's going to be a loss.
I think that's a loss. Then at Arizona State after that.
I'm going to say that's an L.
I think they could trip up there and make that an L. I'm gonna say that's an L. Yeah, I'm gonna say loss. Arizona at home after that though.
And
that's a win.
Yeah.
And then at Cal,
win.
So between Arizona State and Cal, they lose one of those.
Ooh. Okay.
No, not Arizona and Cal. Like the at Arizona State.
Okay.
At Cal, they lose one of those 2.
Okay.
So I have them at 2 losses, right? 3 losses. No, okay. 2. I have at 2 losses. Okay. Then they get the bye week. Oregon State after that. Win. At Oregon after that. It's winnable.
Yep.
I think we gave that one to Oregon, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that's a loss. And then Colorado and at Washington State. 2 wins.
Yep.
3 losses for Washington.
Yeah.
7.5, though, minus 145 on that over.
What are they to win the conference?
That's what I was going to say. I'd rather take them to win the conference plus 1,400.
I'd rather take them. I mean, obviously, I'm not a Penick guy. I really worry about the quarterback position.
Yeah, neither of us. If you are a Penick guy, you're of the opinion that he never really got to show himself at Indiana, but that was also due to the fact that he got injured a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really big on him. I think, you know what I mean? I don't mean to.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm not huge on him either.
And I think that's going to be the downfall of the team. But they're look, the 2 top teams in the conference are who? USC and Utah, and they're not playing both. Scheduling gods insanely on the
only team. So plus 1,400, and the only team they really have to compete against in the North is Oregon to make the Pac-12 championship game.
It's a good bet.
I actually, you know what? I'm going to bet plus 1,400 because guess what? They make the Pac-12 game. You're not getting that on the money line.
Yeah.
Boom. I'll do that. I'll do 14-1. Last team, Washington State. Win total set at 5.5. Even money on that over. Minus 130 on the under. Conference odds for Washington State, 45-1.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mean to be mean. That is insanely too low. They should be a lot higher.
They should be around Stanford's odds.
Yes. Cameron Ward. Oh, sorry. Returning 41, 4-6, 4 on offense, 6 on defense. Cameron Ward is transferring in from incarcerated Ward following head coach Eric Morris, who will be their offensive coordinator. Wakins is back, taking over as the RB1. Bell is back for the wide receiver room, which is huge. Will be the strength of the offensive unit. Offensive line. Guess how many career starts this offensive line has?
Total. 40?
21.
Yikes.
Defensive line returning 8, all with experience. Linebackers won't be as good as they've been in years past. Defensive room, they lost a lot of talent. Talent is down compared to years past. Would be shocked if they made a bowl.
Let's jump into the schedule and see if they
do.
Dude,
I don't mean to be a dick. I just call it as it is.
They start with Idaho.
Tough game, but a win.
A win. Then they go to Wisconsin. That's a
You know
loss.
what? I'm going to call that a no.
Then they get Colorado State at home.
Colorado State is basically Nevada's team, so that's a loss.
I'm going to say that's a loss as well, probably. Oregon at home after that. That's a loss.
It's a loss.
Cal at home after that. We gave them the win there.
Yeah, okay. Win.
At USC.
Loss.
Loss. At Oregon State.
Loss.
Loss. Bye week. Utah.
Loss.
At Stanford.
I could see them losing that.
I think that's a loss.
Yeah.
That's tough, though. They could win that one, but I think that's a loss. Arizona State at home.
I'll say I'm a little loss. No, that's a win. That's a win. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say win, and then at Arizona, I think that's another win.
Oh,
And they end with Washington.
That's a loss.
That they get demolished in the
Apple Cup.
In the Apple Cup. So I have them at 1, 2, 3, 4 wins.
And their total is what? I'm sorry?
5.5.
I would lean under.
Minus 130 on that under.
That's too juicy. Like, that's why, like, so this is me betting college football. You get better odds playing the middle of the pack teams. Like, my future exposure on these last couple episodes is going to be very limited just because I feel like all the value is just insanely lost because this is what people are betting. I'm going to bet the Sun Belt, Conference USA. Those are where I lock in my futures because that's where you make money.
If you want to if you want to hear us hammer win totals, go back and watch the MAC episode, the Sun Belt episode, the CUSA episode.
Yeah, because that's where value is. Value is
There's so many plus money bets for win totals that we made in those.
Yeah, and like the girl I was dating last year during the college football season, she was just amazed because I'm watching Sun Belt all the time. I'm watching Conference USA all the time. I'm never watching these big tier schools just because, you know what? That's not where you make money. I'm pretty good betting the college football stuff. I make it in the middle tier conferences.
Yeah, you make it in the mid majors. But damn it, I love betting all these. So my bets that I am locking in, I will not advise you one way or the other. I'm just telling you the way that I'm going. Feel free to tail me if you want. Stanford over 4.5.
I like
plus
it.
115.
Like it.
Okay. Oregon State under 6.5. It's minus 130, but whatever. I
like it. Not betting it.
Cal over 5.5. Minus 105.
Boys. I don't want to break their heart.
That's tough. Colorado under 3. Minus 115.
I like it.
Arizona State under 6.5. Minus 160.
I mean,
that's the juiciest one that I have.
I would want to find a 5 because
find a 5.
Because what you said, like, this investigation could pop any day. If this investigation pops, the wheels are just going to completely fall off. You know, they lost 5 coaches. You know, only 7 returning starters. Like, you know, they're just. It's just tough. It is really tough.
And then I have under 2.5 wins for Arizona plus 130.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's Arizona.
I got Dorian Thompson-Robinson as my Heisman pick for this conference.
That's a shot. I like
100
it.
to 1.
You know.
And then I've got a little dabbling on Utah to win the national championship at 60 to 1.
That's the only bet I'm taking. Utah national championship 60.
That one's going to be a good prop swap later on. And then I'm taking Washington to win the Pac-12 at 14 to 1.
You know what? It plays out for them to do that. So yeah. But I just have major questions at their quarterback position.
Yes, I just think they out of the teams I like, they have the easier path than any Southern team because all the Southern teams have to go through UCLA, USC, and Utah. If I'm going long shots,
the word you used, which as bettors we need to become familiar with, is path. The path is there for them to do it. The question is, do they have the quarterback to do it?
That is the big question. I just if I'm going to take at least one long shot in every conference, especially the major conferences, because it can happen. Like Michigan wasn't a favorite last year to win the Big Ten. And I was all over that shit. And I loved every second of it. I was all over Pitt for the ACC.
Look at you.
I'm touting right now. But I don't like you don't want to be betting like a Utah at plus 250 to win the Pac-12.
No value.
No value. Negative value. Even Oregon at plus 275.
No value. You know, they have questions. They have like there's a reason why Bo Nix is there and not back at Auburn.
If you go, so here are the North teams of the Pac-12 odds. Oregon plus 275, Washington plus 1,400, and then it's Oregon State at plus 2,500.
It just makes sense.
It's a 2-horse race, and you're getting 14 to 1 on one of them just to make the game.
Like I said, it just makes sense.
It just makes sense. I'm betting all of this. That's the Pac-12. God, I'm excited for football. College football is this month.
You know what? It's going to be soon where we're going to be previewing that
week 1, week 0.
What's the name? Northwestern's going to Ireland.
Northwestern Nebraska in Dublin.
Dublin. I don't even know any. Like, are you going to be drinking some Guinness during that game?
I might. I feel like I'm definitely going to be live streaming the game if I'm not like getting super drunk with friends. But I'm going to be drinking Guinness probably either way. Doing shots of JMO.
Dude, nothing but respect, man. God,
it's gonna be a fucking blast. Eric,
God,
where can the people find you? I now have the display names up.
You know, at eTalk21 Sports on the gram, Twitter, TikTok. You know, subscribe to my YouTube channel. eTalk21 Sports Show going to be live after this, previewing the NFC East with at JLewis06. He's the host of the JNM Sports Let's Talk Sports podcast. I'll be telling you a fantasy football player to target. Gino's going to tell you a bet to lock in at Saratoga. My podcast comes out Friday. Uncle Jim's going to be on it, giving out some CFL bets. Nailed the Red Blacks last week.
Man, why didn't that we should have known as soon as we said, "Oh, don't take a money line, never take a money line." As soon as we say that, of course they're winning outright.
You know, I may take the money line, dude.
I did not touch it.
But yeah, you know, stuff's going on, you know, entering my wheelhouse this season. Got a lot of fantasy football content starting to come out a little bit. So yeah, you know, stuff is happening. Good spot, you know, looking forward to it.
Yep, and you all know where to find me at XFL Jim on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all over. I'm trying to get back in streaming a regular schedule. Cooking with Jim is back this Friday evening. Cooking with Jim is back. I'm doing a grill-a-thon this Friday. Be there or don't. I don't just fuck off if you're not there. And then you can find me obviously every Tuesday for doing the tailgate. Every Thursday we got Spring Fever and on the CFL Gambling Podcast DFS show. I have been killing it with CFL DFS. I just want to make that known. I won $100 last week. Boom.
Look at you, dude. Look at you, dude. Playing a little CFL. I like it.
I like you guys. Give the College Football Tailgate a like. Give us a follow. Mwah. We love you. Kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah.